Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Box Score Sports YouTube channel. I'm your host, Ryan, and we are just going to do a real quick reaction to the Kings trading De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs in a three-team trade. Let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts are of the trade, and please go ahead and like the video if you like what you're hearing. So let's get into this, Clint. Let's just talk about the trade. The Spurs get Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. Kings get Lavine, Sydney, 3 first-round picks, and then the Bulls got Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own first-round pick that's coming up this year back, which was top 10 protected, right? So that's what that's the trade. So let's take it from each side real quick. Let's start with the Spurs side because that's probably the most exciting side of it. Thoughts on the Spurs getting De'Aaron Fox?
It's exciting for the Spurs. You know, they need a little more than what they've had. Like they've been a little better probably than we expected. They just had like a down week, and then they came back. They just rolled the Bucks a couple nights ago. But you can see the steps that Victor's taking. You need a compliment. You need, some explosion. Like Chris Paul has been fine, but he's slow. All their other guys are fine, but Fox gives them shooting, gives them speed, gives them tempo, throw the lob. He's left-handed too, so it complements a right-handed guy. But for the Spurs, they didn't give up a ton. They got to keep was it Castle, who they just drafted, and one of the picks, the Charlotte 2025, is basically top 14 protected, so it's going to turn into 2 seconds, which they'll be good seconds, but they still have, I think, 8 first-round picks the next 5 years. So they are plenty loaded for them. It's a fine risk to take when you still have plenty of ammo left to shoot if you need to make another deal.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like they didn't give up much. Everything they gave up was sort of extra, and they get Fox, which is going to be a nice pair next to Wembanyama, like somebody who can get into the lane, put pressure on the basket. Like you mentioned, Chris Paul is just not that guy anymore. He's good because he knows how to run a functional NBA offense, but now you have somebody who can do that, and we know that De'Aaron Fox can also score at the end of games. He's sort of a clutch player. He has been in the past, at least. So it just adds a dimension. I think him and Wembanyama are going to be a good fit together. So I really like it for the Spurs.
Yeah, and you know, De'Aaron Fox is another one. He's young enough, obviously older than Victor, but if you need to include him in future trades, like you're not taking, which we just talked about when it came to Anthony Davis, that you're not getting an old guy that you're just running out the last few years with. You got time to build with this. So for the Spurs, you never know. Sometimes crazy things happen, like with the Luka trade, but you never know if this is going to be your best shot at getting the point guard you need, while keeping the young guys that they had.
Yeah, and Victor is, even though he's young, he's so effective right now. So it's like he's maturing faster. So this is the time, you got to keep your rookie castle there. You got Sohan still. You add Fox. I think the team's going to be really good around him. And if it's not this year, next year we'll start seeing like the rapid improvement of the Spurs becoming another, not quite contender yet, but they're going to be on like the verge of being in that conversation, I think, next year. Um, Anything else about for the Spurs?
Nope, they sped up the process without doing what the Pelicans did with Anthony Davis and going in too soon, or what the Cavs did the first time with LeBron, giving up too much. And then if it doesn't pan out, you have nothing left to do. As we mentioned, the Spurs still have plenty of picks, plenty of young assets left. So this is, take a shot and it doesn't cripple you.
Yeah,
So home
yeah,
run.
home run, agreed. Okay, let's look at the 2022 Bulls. I mean the Kings. They get Zach Lavine, who they can pair next to DeRozan. That's sort of the big winner their big get, I should say. How do you feel about this trade from the Kings side of it?
I don't mind it for the Kings. Like, Zach Levine is overpaid, but you know, the Kings aren't, uh, real contenders. So, paying someone that much money now, different story comes to if they're going to extend him or whatever. But just on face value, you take an expensive guy. The Kings always want to at least be border. They're obsessed with being borderline play in, play off. So it'll keep that streak alive. But the picks they got, the 2027 San Antonio unprotected, probably not going to be great. 2031 Minnesota unprotected, that, when you go that far out, you never know. Like we said, the Charlotte pick is just going to turn into 26, 27 second, but those are going to be good ones. 2025 Chicago second. So if they need to make other moves, they've reloaded and they got at least two quality first round picks out of it. I don't mind it for the Kings. When I saw they were getting Zach Levine, I'm like, oh, watch, they probably didn't get very many picks back because they valued Zach Levine so much. But I think they did decent in this.
Yeah, I agree. They're not really going anywhere. They're kind of in this lull of mediocrity. And the West is just so deep, and you got to play Shea and Luca and Jokic, and you just don't have somebody of that caliber. So why not kind of like try to retool? You did that with some picks. You're like you said, they're still going to be somewhat relevant. You put Levine on there. I'm a little worried about who's going to be the main ball handler. I'm going to guess DeRozan's going to kind of pick that up. He's done it before with the Spurs and a little bit with Chicago. So I think that's probably their thought process. And like you said, there could be other moves because right now they have Malik Monk as their starting point guard on their depth chart, and I just don't know if I want him to be making my offensive decisions every game. So it'll probably be DeRozan. But I'm with you. I don't mind it for the Kings. Me and you've talked about how teams hold on to these players and too long, and then they don't get anything for them or outright lose them. I think this was a good time for the Kings to move on from this team, this iteration of the Kings, and just look forward. So yeah, I don't mind it for the Kings either.
I mean, they're going to be a great defensive team with Levine, Monk, DeRozan, and Sabonis. I mean, who's going to score on that for them?
That's a great point. Great point. Okay, let's look at the bull side of it because I think this is where it kind of gets interesting. Like, not as bad as like a mass. What are you doing? But a little bit where it's like I'm not sure what they got out of it except their own first back because then they got Collins, Trey Jones, and Herter, which maybe they could flip one or two of those guys for more picks, possibly. Like because some of those are. Veterans that could help winning teams. So give me your thoughts as far as the bowl side of this.
We talked about Levine not having a lot of value because of
Yeah.
that deal, injury history. This still just seems light compared to some of the things we've had about, maybe the Lakers were obviously out of it. But, 2031 unprotected pick, the Bucks 2031 unprotected picks seems like a better asset. The only thing I can think of is are the Bulls like blowing it up this week that they were so hard pressed that they wanted their pick back. I think it's top 10 protected. They wanted that pick back so that they can tank,
Yeah.
just start unloading all of their guys and just get what they can this week. Maybe it'll turn out to make more sense because it seems like, I mean, your own 2025 pick, you have to be thinking we're going to definitely try to be in the top 10 of this draft. We kind of put a lot of stock into that. Zach Collins always hurt. Trey Jones, fine. Kevin Herter doesn't move the needle, but I mean, maybe you can move him to somewhere else, but I don't think he's exciting for some other team to get. So they got to be pushing their chips into the tank for the rest of this year, coming the next 4 days to really value that pick.
Yeah, I think like Herter might be interesting on a team that's like a heavy defensive team that might need somebody to come in for some shooting off the bench. That could be interesting. And like Trey Jones, he can run a competent offense, so like that's fine. But I'm largely with you. I think maybe this is the first domino to fall on the on other moves to make. I don't think either one of us would be surprised if Vucevic, right? If he's moved or Lonzo Ball gets moved before the trade deadline, which would mean that what they're doing is retooling. And maybe if like they can kind of branch and get some like extra picks off of these guys or their other guys based on this trade, it will make the trade a little bit more worth it. But right now, as it stands, I think they could have, Lavine's value did plummet, but I thought he did a nice job of kind of getting that stock up as the year went on. A lot of teams were interested in the way he was playing. So it's still not enough in my opinion, but like maybe another first would have been good, even if it was protected or something like that. But yeah, it just didn't seem like they got enough for him. But again, I think you're right. This could be a move that leads to other moves.
It just teams fall into this, and the Bulls, sometimes you got to undo your bad choices. And
Sure.
I didn't go back and trace how the 2025 pick ended up in San Antonio. But it was probably that stupid tied in with the Harrison Barnes trade. I think, I don't know. But regardless, you got to undo it. And, sunk cost fallacy. So you got to just move on. It looks worse, but if you tank and you end up in the top 10 and you got your pick back, and who knows, you get number 1 in Cooper Flag, then this is going to look awesome. But on the face value, you got to right your wrongs.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Anything else regarding this trade?
Not this trade. It's just the fireworks have been going off. We thought this might be a boring trade deadline with the second apron and stuff, and here we go.
I do think that teams are going to respond now reactionary, like just like, okay, this happened now. We got to do something now. So now we've seen another one. So we'll see. Trade deadline's Thursday, correct? This Thursday. So we'll see anything else that happens. Well, thanks, Clinton, for joining me. Real quick, grade for each team, real quick.
Spurs A, Kings. I'll give the Kings a B. They did fine in that. And the Bulls, I'll give them a D plus. C minus range, somewhere in there, because it could turn out fine. It just right now it looks
Yeah, I'm with you. Spurs A. I'll give the Kings a little bit of a B plus. I like the 2 first-round picks, Lavine, and maybe they can flip other guys. Who knows? But then the Bulls, I'll give a C minus is what I was going to give them. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I got. Everybody else, thanks for watching. If you haven't yet, leave a comment down below. Give grades for each team. Let us know what you think, especially if you're a Bulls, Spurs, or Kings fan. And if you like what you're listening to, subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and we will talk to you all real soon. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.